The movie is simultaneously sweeping epic with allegories rooted in our contemporary experiences, a fairly less subtle light onto racism, and also a smaller movie of the bond between parent and child, including an interesting look into how guilt and shame can shape your life. Honestly, what struck me most about this was how much this felt like a Tarantino movie. Welcome back to The Rank. I'm John, and today I'm going to be making an educated guess about Best Picture nominees for next March's Oscars. Now, for those of you who have followed along for a long time, you know that we rank each of the Best Picture nominees for the year, and this year, instead of trying to get 10 episodes out in a short window, I'm going to attempt to get as many as I can in advance. Now, for those of you that are new to the show, I'm going to go over the agenda. I start off with some facts and tidbits that I found out about the movie that I call the potent notables. Then I go into the movie overview, which is me talking about the movie from beginning to end. I will avoid spoilers on this because it's brand new. And then I go into the rank, the namesake of the show, where I rank the movie in 10 categories on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, all to find out what's the best Picture nominee of all time and what's the best Picture nominee for each year. And today I'm going to be doing the first of my expected 2025 nominees, One Battle After Another, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, and Chase Infiniti, and written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. It was also inspired by the novel Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. Now, if you're enjoying these rankings and want to find out what will be the Best Picture nominee of 2025 or the best Picture nominee of all time, please subscribe and or follow. Please put any of your questions, comments, concerns, I guess, into the comments, or you can email them to me at info@therankpodcast.com. I will respond to you. And if you super duper like it, please consider becoming a patron on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast. Now, we won't know if I'm right for a while here, but we'll still find out how One Battle After Another ranks against the all-timers I've ranked so far. Starting with the potent notables.
Potent notables.
As always, we start the potent notables with the box office info. Now, One Battle After Another came out this past weekend and made $22.4 million domestically and $28.1 million internationally for a worldwide opening weekend total of $48.5 million. Now, this was against a budget of $130 million, so I don't know if this is going to make back its money. I mean, essentially, they say with a big budget like this, you need to double it to get a profit. I don't see this hitting the $260 million mark, but maybe. It's got good word of mouth so far. Now, when I saw it had a $130 million budget, I was like, I have to believe this must be PTA's highest budget he's ever received. And it was. Wonder how he liked getting that DiCaprio money, you know? Because, it's obviously directly attributable to the studio's belief in Leo's bankability, right? PTA's previous largest budget was There Will Be Blood for $25 million. So this was literally $100 million more, 5 times as much. He quintupled his highest budget. What's also funny about that is that the budget for his highest budgeted film was the salary that Leo got for this movie.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
He would have been the entire budget of There Will Be Blood. Just saying. Now, Paul Thomas Anderson did previously approach Leonardo DiCaprio to play Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights, but DiCaprio declined in favor of Titanic. Now, DiCaprio has since regretted the decision, saying, quote, "It was a profound movie of my generation. When I finally got to see that movie, I just thought it was a masterpiece," end quote. So this was Paul Thomas Anderson's 5th and final film collaboration with his first assistant director, Adam Somner, who died of thyroid cancer on November 27, 2024. They previously worked on There Will Be Blood, The Master, Inherent Vice, and Licorice Pizza. So this movie was filmed over 7 months across California: Eureka, Arcata, Sacramento, Stockton, San Juan, Batista, San Diego, Los Angeles, Borrego Springs, and El Paso, Texas. Now, I found this thing about a homeless camp being removed to accommodate filming in Sacramento, and that it caused a bit of a controversy. But the only thing I could find about it was that the president of the Sacramento Homeless Union said that, quote, "The permit should never have been given," end quote. So then the news organization, ABC 10 in this case, said they tried to reach out to the city and nobody got back to them. That was it. It just didn't seem like much of a controversy, and I thought about not saying anything about it at all, but then I thought, homeless people probably don't have that much power to make a controversy out of it, and neither do I. So I'll mention it. So apparently what happened was that homeless tents in the park where they were going to be filming were tagged with notices of filming, and those living in the tents were forced to leave the area. Did they come back? I don't know. No idea. That's the whole thing I found about it. Seems like nothing, but maybe someone in the comments can correct me and tell me if there's something there. So there you go. those are the potent notables. Let's go to the movie overview. So having watched this movie, I think it's incredibly likely that it'll end up being nominated for Best Picture, so let's talk about it. One battle after another follows Leonardo DiCaprio's character progressing from militant revolutionary to lazy paranoid dad to a much more inept version of Liam Neeson's father character from Taken. It also immerses us in a seemingly parallel world where things are similar to what they are for us now, but not quite the same, with immigration raids and more domestic military actions. The only part that's really different is that there's actually a paramilitary element fighting against the government in this movie's world. I couldn't help but wonder while watching this if it was going to become a potential recruitment for paramilitary activity. I'm not saying that would be good or bad, I'm just saying I can see the appeal that this could have, more so in the beginning than in the end. Perfidia is the character played by Teyana Taylor, and she has an excellent story throughout the movie and is played really well. I bring her up because the world of this movie, while seen through the eyes of Leo's character, really revolves around her. Everything she does or doesn't do and the repercussions from that is what we see in this movie. The movie is simultaneously sweeping epic with allegories rooted in our contemporary experiences, a fairly less subtle light onto racism, and also a smaller movie of the bond between parent and child, including an interesting look into how guilt and shame can shape your life. Honestly, what struck me most about this was how much this felt like a Tarantino movie. I mean, it's more modern than what Tarantino likes to do, but the grit and feel of it felt like something he would do. I know that Paul Thomas Anderson and Quentin are friends and also kind of see each other as the auteurs of their generation, so I wonder how much of an influence Quentin had on this for Paul. You know, maybe I'm completely off here. I'm curious what you all think. Did this feel more Tarantino to you all as well? Not necessarily the story as much as the look and feel of the movie itself. I also enjoy the comedic elements of this, with Leo being kind of surprisingly funny in this role. Not that he can't be funny, but I just wasn't expecting it. It definitely hit at the right times as well, when you needed a little levity to get you through the tension. That actually kind of leads me to a thought I had while watching it. When I was watching it, I knew I was watching an excellent film. I could tell by the way it was made, the pacing it exhibited, the storytelling that was clearly done with experience. Everything about this movie was very much made in a way that made you think it was a great movie. And there's no denying it's an excellent movie, and here's what reflection gave me. I don't know that I was truly drawn in by any character in the movie. That isn't to say I didn't enjoy watching it. It actually made me wish for the downfall of the main villain. It made me want what you're supposed to want with Leo and Chase's characters, and it had me thinking about it afterward quite a bit. I guess I just never felt super emotionally connected to any of the characters, except maybe Chase's, but I think it was just because she was young. As in, any kid put into a situation that is not of their doing feels unfair and makes you feel for them. The end does provide some catharsis and also puts the movie's title more in focus. We're led to believe that the title is referencing the revolutionary fight that they're going through in the beginning, going as far as actually saying the title in reference to it. By the end though, one battle after another, I think, is in regards to parenthood. That being a parent is about having the perseverance to endure one battle after another because you love your kids regardless. That parenthood is and should be an inherently selfless act. At least that's what I got from it. Maybe you took something else. There are certainly other themes explored here, so I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about it. But before I get to reading comments, let's find out how it ranked.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the movie based on 10 categories: story, acting, originality, film coherence, cinematography, score/soundtrack/sound, script structure and dialogue, character relatability, production value, and my rank. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And before I dive into the rankings, I just want to say, if you're enjoying this episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help us out. I hate pandering, but you know, you got to do it. So anyway, without further ado, first category is story, and I gave story an 8.5. Now there's a lot of story here. We've got a story about revolutionaries, racist organizations, an ICE clone called MKU, and a father-daughter coming-of-age relationship. All of them are very good, none of them are perfect. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 9. The acting was strong, as you would expect from a PTA movie. I thought Regina Hall was incredible, actually. I'm sort of hoping that there's some buzz for her to be nominated for Best Supporting Actress, because I thought she was just great. Leo was really good as well. I never really forgot I was watching Leo, though. And, you know, he's a huge star, so that could just be in my head, but I don't think it is. Anyway, it's a 9, so I'm definitely not saying that Leo was bad. I expect him to be nominated, and rightfully so, and I haven't watched any of the other contenders, at least that I know of. I don't expect him to win. Sean Penn will get recognition for this, though, for sure. So let's go on to the next category, which is originality. I gave that a 7.5. This feels like it's too low, but allegories to government excess has been done, and recently. See Civil War, done last year. And a father-daughter coming of age through a traumatic experience thing has been done as well. But there's no denying that while watching it, you you feel like you're watching something you haven't seen before, something definitely different. So let's go to film coherence, which I gave a 9.5. There's always a danger with a near 3-hour movie of not being coherent, but this was not the case for this movie. As a matter of fact, it was a situation where I didn't feel the length at all, really. There's a couple of scenes that go on for a while, but they were so tension-filled that it didn't actually feel like it took too long. There's a scene that proves the racist club right, which I didn't super like because I didn't want them to be right, but I also get it. All right, let's go to the next category, which is cinematography. I gave cinematography a 10. This was beautifully done. There are so many great choices here with what they did with the camera work, from highlighting the rolling hills of the desert to following combatants in close quarters to even a couple kind of sort of jump scares. It was just excellent and beautiful. So let's go to score/soundtrack/sound. I gave that an 8.5. The score is excellent as well as the soundtrack. I guess for me, the notes of the score felt like every good thriller's score. And maybe I shouldn't detract points for being generic because, you know, it's good. You know, if it's good, right? But I also just felt like, of course I'm hearing this music. I don't know, maybe that's not fair, but that's where I'm at. So let's go to script structure and dialogue, which I gave a 9.25. A lot of great moments here. They built a world that left you wondering and wanting to learn more about it, though it also left you sometimes, not all the time, wishing you were watching a different story. Anyone else out there want Sensei Sergio's story? I do. All right, let's go to character relatability, which I gave an 8.75. They were all pretty relatable. I do think that Willa's friends were surprisingly uncompromising considering their situation. I mean, it was commendable, but it also felt a bit unrealistic. Leo's character was simultaneously relatable and also just too much of a fuck up. Anyway, it was definitely a relatable movie. Even the villain is relatable and his motivations as reprehensible as he is. All right, so let's go to production value, which I gave a 9. Production value is obviously high. I mean, they spent $130 million and PTA is already known for having great production value. Giving him more money just means it's going to be better. The only thing that I found sort of odd was the size of the town/city that Leo and Chase lived in. For a lot of it, it felt very small town. Then all of a sudden it felt like a fairly big city with thousands of people in it. Now maybe I just missed something, but that's kind of really my only mark against it. All right, so let's go to my rank, the last category here, which I gave an 8.5. I thought this movie was beautifully made. I thought the allegories that it was presenting with government overreach in regards to immigration and the racial implications of it were important. I found the crux of the story, the relationship between Leo's character and his daughter, a little wanting. I still really enjoyed it and it made me emotional at the end, but it didn't hit as hard as I think it could have or should have. Still, 8.5 is a high score, so don't take that to mean that I didn't think it was good. It was just so good that the fact that I felt like it missed a little bit means I felt like it could have been an all-time great, but it missed it by just that much. So altogether, that puts one battle after another at an 88.5, which makes it a supreme cinema. Now that's going to be a tough score to beat. It puts it just below Poor Things from 2 years ago and above Juno on the all-time list. So thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of my updated Best Picture Series rankings, you can do that on my website at therankpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment. And please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you get access to all of our archived episodes. And remember, if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like. It really does help us out. So, goodbye, 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 goodbye.
Hey, can we hurry this thing up?
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
346 minutes later.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
Please make us stop.
It's one goodbye after another. That's why I did that.
That was the worst joke ever.
Now, for those of you that are new to the show, I'm going to attempt... No, I'm going to go over the agenda. I go over some facts and tidbits that I found out about the film and...
Take 3.
Now, for those of you that are new to the show, I'm going to go over the agenda. I start off with a couple facts.
It's getting worse.